privileges. Yea, they durst not make use of that which is their own inalienable rights. That's what he's talking about. That they should offend their priests, who do yoke them according to their desires, and have brought them to believe by their traditions, and their dreams, and their whims, and their visions, and their pretended mysteries, that they should, if they do not do according to their words, offend some unknown being, who they say is a god, a being who never has been seen or known, who never was, nor ever will be. Okay, so he says, you know that the things you're telling the people are not true, and which I think is always kind of annoying to me when people are like, no, you know that what you're saying isn't true, because it's like, anyway, putting words in mouths, right? Korihor, Adam does it, and not Adam, Alma, the prophet, soon does that as well, but you know that the things you're telling the people aren't true, and you're using the teachings to get them under your thumb, right, so that they can work for you, so you can glut off of their labors, right? You tell them that they're free, but they're not, because you're binding them by these things that you're telling them that you know aren't true in the first place. You say that they're guilty, but they're not. You tell them Christ is coming, but you know he's not. You're restricting their inalienable rights, and they go along with it because they think it's the only way, and they're worried about doing something wrong and sinning and offending God, which is a lie that you fed them in the first place. So that's what Korihor is saying. Now, when the high priest and the chief judge saw the hardness of his heart, which, in my humble opinion, can be basically summarized as, he doesn't agree with us. Yea, when they saw that he would revile even against God, that they would not make any reply to his words. So they were like, you're not pearls before swine, right? There's no use in talking to you about this. They caused that he should be bound. Whoa, again. And they delivered him up into the hands of officers. Government involvement again, despite 4 lengthy verses reiterating there's no laws against beliefs. Just no laws against having those beliefs. What is it? Is that he talked to a bunch of people? You know what I mean? That's the same thing with another character, Alma the Younger. Anyway, another day. And they sent him to Zarahemla, which is kind of the capital of the government, that he might be brought before Alma, which is the prophet, and the chief judge, who is governor over all the land. Again, notice that the government and the religion are together, very much so. Okay, and it came to pass that when he was brought before Alma and the chief judge, he did go on in the same manner as he did in the land of Gideon. Yea, he went on to blaspheme. And he did rise up in a great swelling words before Alma, and did revile against the priests and the teachers, accusing them of leading away the people after the silly traditions of their fathers, for the sake of glutting on the labors of the people. Now Alma, the prophet, said unto him, Thou knowest that we do not glut yourselves upon the labor of this people, for behold, I have labored even from the commencement of the reign of judges until now. Okay, so he says, you know that I'm not getting money or anything from the people because I have always worked while I've been a prophet, right? And so I haven't even received even one C9. It's a coin, some currency of some sort, for my labor. Neither has any of my brethren, save we were in the judgment seat, and then we only received according to law for our time. Again, real involvement. This is definitely a theocracy. And now, if we do not receive anything for our labors in the church, what doth it profit us to labor in the church, save it were to declare the truth, that we may have rejoicings in the joy of our brethren? Okay, so Alma's like, dude, this is not a lucrative job. Since it's not lucrative, why would we be saying these things unless it were truth and it made people happy? Which, first of all, this annoys me. Why did Korihor not research something before he's just like throwing the claim out there? Oh, you guys are getting money or food or whatever payment they're getting by teaching the people this, right? And I mean, to some extent, I think maybe he's right in that when you have a theocracy, part of the problem is that when people disagree, you have the power within the government to squish them, which we will see in Korihor, right? And that can definitely take away freedoms of speech, right? So, but in terms of how lucrative it is to be a prophet, Alma's saying it's not. So why would we be saying this if it weren't truth and if it didn't make people happy? Which Alma is an interesting fellow, but I don't think his arguments are very good. I don't like reading through his arguments. I don't think he's ever really been top of his debate team, you know what I mean? So, for instance, his argument here, talking about, why would we be saying these things unless it were truth? It doesn't really say anything, because you can still believe something is true and give your entire life to it. You can even die for that belief, and it doesn't necessarily make that thing true. Do you know what I mean? For instance, the people that helped fly the plane into the Twin Towers, they believed that they were going to heaven. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but the equivalent of heaven, and that they were going to be rewarded for this action. They believed that their cause was true and right, and they ended up dying for it, but it doesn't make their cause actually true. Does that make sense? So saying, well, why, if I don't get any money from it, why would I be doing this if it wasn't true? And just because it makes people happy doesn't necessarily make it true either. Okay. So he goes on to say, Alma, then why sayest thou that we preach unto this people to get gain, when thou of thyself knowest that we receive no gain? And there's a lot of this going both ways, and I find it a bit annoying. And now, believest thou that we would deceive this people? So, now do you still think that we would fool everybody? Korihor says yes. And Alma says, do you believe that there's a God? And Korihor says, no, I don't believe that there's a God. Now Alma says, will you deny again? Alma's like incensed at this. Oh, will you deny again that there is a God, and also deny the Christ? For behold, I say unto you, I know there is a God, and also that Christ shall come. And he says, and now what evidence have you that there is no God, or that Christ isn't going to come? Which is a ridiculous request, since the burden of proof rests on the shoulders of those making a claim. Saying there is no God is a claim. Saying until you prove it, I don't see any evidence. I don't see evidence for it enough to believe it is not a claim. It's a response to the original claim. And Alma says, I say unto you that you have none evidence that there is no God, save it be your word only. Okay, so he says, the only thing saying that there is no God is you saying it. Okay, so Alma, again, not top in his debate team, continues, but behold, I have all things as a testimony that these things are true. Meaning, your word is moot, but mine is amazing. Testimony meaning he has a strong conviction in his heart that it's all true, which is not empirically testable evidence in the slightest, and it is a very common phenomenon held over years, over all belief systems, surprised, but people who are Mormon and they get up and they say, I know in my heart that the church is true, have as much of a conviction as people who are Muslim who say, I know in my heart that this is true, or people who are Catholic who say, I know in my heart that this is true, right? And I will remember to put a link to a website that addresses this more in the description.